On today's episode of the Cryptoverse. In the midst of the biggest traffic jam in Bitcoin's history, let's see why Bobby Lee thinks that Chinese miners are not happy with SegWit. Vaultoro is the one-of-a-kind online exchange where you can trade between gold and Bitcoin. Reserves can be audited online at any time and are protected from confiscation and company failure. Sign up for a free account today by checking out the link in the video description below. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I am your host, Chris Coney. Today is the 23rd of February 2017, so let's begin. If you want to win yourself some Bitcoin, remember to take a minute to fill out my feedback survey. A link to the survey is in the video description. Traffic on the Bitcoin network is still outstripping its capacity today. As you can see here, there are over 90,000 transactions waiting to be confirmed. I think this is the highest number I have personally ever seen, which is both good and bad. It's good because it means more Bitcoin transactions are happening than ever before, but it's bad because people are having to wait longer and longer for their transactions to be confirmed. And on top of that, the transaction fees are getting increasingly ridiculous. For example, yesterday, someone sent a $5 Bitcoin tip to the Cryptoverse podcast address, and they paid a fee of 43 cents. That's nearly 10% of the transaction as a fee. That's just not sustainable. Now, the net result of higher transaction fees, like in that example I just gave, is that it's going to effectively mean a higher and higher minimum transaction amount, which kind of kills the idea of using Bitcoin for any transaction less than X amount, right? So imagine if the only viable transaction was $5 or higher. I mean, that isn't the Bitcoin that I signed up to support. How about you? Also, make sure you mark your calendar for this Sunday, the 26th of February, when I'll be doing my first ever official live stream covering the Peer Plays crowdfund. Full details at the link in the video description. So for the market roundup today then, actually Steam, I'm just going to scroll down to it here, Steam has flipped from being the biggest loser yesterday to the biggest winner today, up 11.89%, leaving a Steam token at just under 11 cents each. Now, Steam continues its reign in 13th place by market cap. Not bad considering it's only a year old. Biggest loser today down here is Zcash in 18th place by market cap. If you want to buy some Zcash now, a coin today, you'll be paying around $26.94. And that's since it shaved 4.36% of its value in the last 24 hours. Now, I am continuing to be fascinated by the battle for the top 5 myself. The gaps between these coins is shrinking, and today they seem, quite evenly spaced, like $10 or $20 million of market cap between each rung on the ladder. And most fascinating to me is the battle for the private currencies between Monero and Dash. Monero at number 5 and Dash at number 6. Now, after today's gains over here, Dash is now just $10 million behind Monero in terms of market cap. We've got Dash at 167 million and Monero at 177 million. So I did a calculation. Dash would only need a net gain of 6% and it would displace Monero as the 5th most capitalized coin in the world. On the candlestick charts then, Bitcoin has broken that previous high that we spoke about yesterday. We said we'd call it 1140, and as you can see here today, Bitcoin hit a high price of 11.48 50 cents. That's pretty definitive. It wasn't like it broke it by 10 cents or anything. So far today we have this candle with a reasonably short range, but the body is mostly in the top half. When I looked at this earlier, it was more indecisive than this, but now it's turned more bullish. But like I said yesterday, the higher we go here, the less historical data we're going to have to analyze and then make market predictions. So there is one stop left, which is that all-time high of 1163 back here. That was shown on the 25th of November according to the Bitstamp price. And our final point here, coming back to the daily view, is that, as it turns out, if you remember the ascending triangle pattern that I did my analysis on, I don't know, it was a matter of weeks ago, it did eventually reach its target of 1124, even if it did so in kind of an unorthodox way. My last buy was down here at 967 during that big red drop there, but that's now become pretty much of a reflex for me. Whenever I see an abnormally large red candle, I just buy some. Taking a quick stopover on the Litecoin network then, let's see how segregated witness is doing according to the miners. Today we are up a little bit, 19.18%, so a steady march upwards. That puts SegWit activation at the 12th of April 2017 by my calculations, which means it will easily meet the deadline and activate. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it's up very slightly today, and given the recalculation, it's looking at the 13th of November for SegWit activation on Bitcoin, which now means it will just about make it. It will make it just a week before the deadline, so that is going to scrape just in. In terms of the news today then, I have turned once again to the faithful Coin Telegraph. This article is entitled BTCC's Bobby Lee, Why Chinese Bitcoin Miners Are Not Happy with SegWit. So it says, while some altcoins have been hyped for having the potential to turn the cryptocurrency market around in the coming years, the CEO of BTCC, Bobby Lee, says, quote, "My opinion is that the industry worldwide should first focus on Bitcoin," close quote. Well, I think that's a daft thing to say. Yes, I agree that's technically true, but it's not a wise thing to say because it's never going to happen. I mean, to expect to be able to get the community to coordinate their efforts to get Bitcoin adopted just shows a clear ignorance of human nature. What was I saying the other day about homogenization? Treating everyone the same when they are not the same. Human beings are anything but homogeneous. So anytime you set out on the assumption that a homogeneous approach is going to work, you are ultimately setting yourself up to fail. This is exactly why there should be 1,000 different cryptocurrencies. To the naked eye, human beings may look similar, but inside each of us is a little mini universe that is utterly unique. And when given the freedom to express ourselves, you see the physical manifestation of what I'm talking about. Each unique individual will gravitate to the things that they see in the world that match their little internal universe. And in this case, we're talking about cryptocurrencies. And what I'm talking about here in terms of the outer expression of our internal world is what leads to each cryptocurrency having its own community of deeply passionate people. And what happens in a free world when someone can't find something that is a match for them? Well, then they create it. A new project is born, and a whole bunch of passionate people who were previously wandering around without an outlet now have a community of like-minded people. So that was a long way around for me to say, Bobby Lee, I don't agree. It rhymes, so it must be true. So moving on then to the orange bit here. It says, going by the series of spot checks on the operations of Bitcoin exchanges in China by the PBOC, Bobby Lee says he doesn't know exactly what the bank really wants. And here he's talking about the People's Bank of China. And I would say, uh-oh, that's a big red flag. What have I said before about markets and investors? They need as much certainty as you can give them. It helps them plan for the future and then make confident investments. Give people uncertainty and they will only think that their resources are at risk. Then it's only logical that they will hoard and protect them. And if the money ain't flowing, the economy ain't growing. So there are two possibilities here. Either the People's Bank of China are purposefully hiding their intentions, in which case they are creating the uncertainty, which leads to panic, which leads to the economy tanking. Therefore, they are manifesting the exact opposite of what they're supposed to be doing, which is keeping the economy stable. The other possibility is that they don't actually know what they want, in which case they should stop meddling until they do, because tinkering around aimlessly is almost always going to cause more harm than good. Again, bringing about the exact economic instability that they are supposed to be charged with preventing. Yet another shining example of a government program that ends up producing the exact opposite of what it was aiming for. Which is why we need to shrink government, separate money and state, and then leave everything else to the free market. Now let's get on to the bit about SegWit in the yellow here. It says, he said that the lack of opportunities among the community generally for collaboration and discussion to work out the differences is the major reason precluding Chinese miners from embracing SegWit. Quote, it is hard to educate people about complicated topics, and it takes an exponentially larger amount of time when more people are involved. That's a limiting belief, and it's utterly not true. What did Tony Robbins famously say? In business, it's never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. I'm thinking now about the superb videos that have come out of the Litecoin Association. I think the guy's name is Frank, but he's put together some absolutely superb pieces of communication on things like segregated witness, the Lightning Network, side chains, and he's continuing to do more work on this stuff. What does that tell us? There are some brilliant people in the crypto community with the communication skills to lubricate the conversation. Now, granted, what Bobby Lee is talking about is probably more in-depth in terms of technical descriptions than the stuff that I'm talking about on the Litecoin Association YouTube channel, but so what? That stuff can be created without a doubt. This is why I often say that marketing is everything, which is to say that communication is everything. If a given technology, such as segregated witness, is not being adopted, it's because A, the technology is poor and it's not fit for purpose, or B, people are not adopting it because they don't understand it or they misunderstand it. In any case, in order to make an informed decision on whether something is fit for purpose, you need to have a thorough understanding of it first. This is what I believe marketing is. It's not getting someone to buy something. It's simply the process of transferring the understanding of the benefits of something from one person to another. That is what I have spent the last 12 years doing, so I know what I'm talking about here. So rather than wittering about your technology not being adopted by the community, and I'm talking about both sides here, take responsibility, recognize that the problem lies in the way that you are putting your ideas across, and then come up with new and better ways to communicate. Fail to do that, and you fail as a project. So thanks for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and get subscribed. And please support the Cryptoverse and boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. From just a few dollars a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. That is all for today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. Until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.